Ryoko and her AST crew are enduring an onslaught by a puzzling gathering as she whines over how this could occur. Prior that day, Kodori is reached by Shido on going to the natural aquifers, since Toka and Yoshino needed to look at one straight away. Kodori settles on the thought and chooses to make a game plan for it. At the point when asked on where they ought to go, Shido recommends the close-by underground aquifers in the city, Tengu Heaven Underground Aquifers. Kanazuki settles on the objective and suggests that Kodori have some time off, which she quickly dismisses. However, Kanazuki states that they will not have the option to work appropriately as a group, assuming that she exhausts herself to an extreme. Be that as it may, Kodori suspects an ulterior thought process behind Kanazuki's idea and questions him about his actual intentions. Kanazuki answers in his standard distorted conduct, which prompts Kodori to have him be removed once more. Kodori then has Kanazuki uncover an opening relentless all day long, after which it will be topped off in the future, and he really wants to rehash the cycle for 7 days as discipline. At the Camp Tengu Army installation, Ryoko is being informed by one of her bosses that a gathering from DEM are being sent for herself as well as her group to see as to follow their methods on the best way to manage the spirits. Later at her office, subsequent to letting out a mad outburst, she is requested by one from her subordinates about the excursion this end of the week, and in the wake of communicating her pleasure over the outing, she is sadly revealed about the unexpected ascent in all harem levels for them because of the successive appearances of spirits as of late, consequently bringing about their outing being dropped, causing Ryoko's dissatisfaction toward the spirits. In any case, Ryoko's subordinate rather proposes that she go to the neighborhood underground aquifers, all things considered, referring to it as their approach to showing Ryoko their appreciation for her. Energized, Ryoko expresses gratitude toward her. Somewhere else, Origami is with the remainder of her gathering. Ryoko's subordinate from before joyfully reports back to the remainder of their chief, tolerating their greeting. Origami, nonetheless, opposes the thought, thinking that they could utilize their opportunity to, rather train yet that second. Shido calls her and inquires as to whether he could return the book he acquired from her the day after tomorrow, to which Origami asks him for what reason. As Shido is going to make sense of, she hears Toka's voice over on Shido's line, inadvertently offering where they are going, causing Origami a deep sense of desire and outrage. Yoshino, Yashinon, and Toka are taking a gander at the view from the window in the vehicle they, Shido and Rain are in, as the three cheerfully view the landscape, with Shido remarking that it is whenever the two first have really ridden in a vehicle. As Shido pets Yoshino on the head, Toka considers this and requests that Shido pet her too. Shido can't do as such because of him being in the secondary lounge and Toka being at the front. With Toka grumbling over this, however, Shido reasons that she was the person who chose to sit at the front herself. Yashinon then, at that point, requests that Shido pet her also, which Shido does, making Toka become envious. At the point when Shido makes sense of for Yoshino what a hairstylist shaft is, Toka turns out to be excessively baffled with everything going on and incidentally breaks an opening into the vehicle's floor, making her foot go through and the street underneath them to give way. In the interim, with the AST, Ryoko and her crew are taking the arrangement train to the natural aquifers. Out of nowhere, a collapse happens in the passages which powers the train to stop because of a crisis shutdown, constraining the gathering to go by walking, all things being equal. Back with Shido and the rest, they are presently forging ahead with foot after the occurrence, with Toka requesting that Shido pardon her. He consoles Toka that it was okay and tells her that he isn't distraught at her and pets Toka on the head, fulfilling her. Behind the gathering, something behind them ascends and shows a case, and it opens up. It's the AST. The team inside Fraxinus spots them and, after conversation on what to do, choose to send off an assault on the AST before they spot the gathering and the arrangement. After a second, the AST are hindered in their potential courses, with Fraxinus being all the reason. Ryoko orders Origami to take watch from above for some other courses they can take. Origami recognizes a side street that interfaces with the principal street that they could take. And Ryuko quickly arranges her gathering to walk toward it. In the interim, with Toka and the rest, as they stroll through a road, Shido spots somebody natural from behind a stand and goes to check. Amazingly, he finds Kotori being the store and asks what she is doing there. Kotori answers that she was just ensuring Shido was going about his business appropriately, with Shido then, at that point, getting on that Kotori simply needed to show up with them, which she rapidly denies. Nonetheless, Shido offers to Kotori to simply show up with them to the underground aquifers, and as Kotori cheerfully acknowledges, she gets an unexpected caution from her group and lets Shido know that he and the others can continue on without her and that she will look up some other time. Ryuko and her crew find one more impasse in the street that they were taking. Baffled, she utilizes a dangerous to clear the bar, which Kotori considers and orders her group to make a move to stop them by whatever implies vital. The team then dispatches a rocket toward the AST and, after detonating, catches a portion of the gathering in traps. The AST then face a ludicrous measure of traps being sent at them by Fraxinus. Ryuko orders her soldiers to send off their concealment assault and to quickly lock in. Having had enough of this, Ryuko fights back all alone and annihilates the vast majority of the snares, which irritates Kotori, who was seeing the exercises from her area. With Shido and the others, as they calmly keep strolling to the natural aquifers, he sees a rocket dropping straightforwardly at them and detonates. With the following blast making Yashinon launch and making Yoshino upset and cry. This makes the region downpour and freeze up because of her ongoing mental state. Shido attempts to quiet her down. However, Rain reminds Shido that just rejoining with Yashinon is the main way Yoshino will quiet down totally. Shido consoles Yoshino that he will get Yashinon back, and they will be brought together again soon as he heads out to track down the mannequin. With the Fraxinus team, Mikimoto asks on what they ought to do now. Kotori inquires as to whether the AST haven't opened up an area yet, to which Nakatsugawa affirms that they haven't. Kotori then allows the team to utilize obliterate mode. The team then follows the order and has every one of their snares at the same time open fire on the AST, with some being caught however are immediately broken free by Ryuko. She then, at that point, wonders why this is all occurrence and recalls how much pressure she has persevered today and in the long run snaps, requesting her soldiers to return fire with all that they have and to not stop, totally having freaked out. From far off, Shido sees the anarchy that is going on. He then progresses forward to search for Yashinon through the disorder Ryuko is causing. Shido can track down Yashinon, however admires see a Goliath bomb plummeting down on him. Kotori sees this and quickly arranges her group to stop the assault without a moment's delay. Origami glances around and sees Shido as the bomb explodes. The Fraxinus team's transmission is severed because of the blast. On the ground, Shido is fortunately saved by Toka before the bomb detonated, who projected a soul safeguard around them. Outside the safeguard, 3 of Ryuko's soldiers spot Toka with Origami then, at that point, coming up and choosing to go after once it vanishes, however before she can, the safeguard, alongside Shido and Toka, vanish from their sight. The 3 soldiers then keep thinking about whether all that happened today was a direct result of the spirits. Some time later, Ryuko cheerfully declares that she currently feels improved after so much occurred. Remaining on the destruction of the occurrence as her soldiers sleepily remark about this. With respect to Shido and the rest, they at last arrive at the natural aquifers, however at that point Yashinon's head tumbles off and into the water, unfortunately. In the interim, Ryuko and her soldiers likewise at long last arrive at the natural aquifers, and as they are going to start their loosening up time, the water of the underground aquifers freeze up, made by Yoshino's response what has been going on with Yashinon. With the underground aquifers briefly unusable, Kotori is unexpectedly reached by Kanazuki, who reports that while he was digging during his discipline, he was some way or another ready to uncover the natural aquifers. Shido, Toka, Yoshino, Yashinan, and Kotori then utilized the new underground aquifers. Kanazuki uncovered all things considered. As they all loosen up in it, Kotori lets Shido know that she will have something for him to do soon, with Shido snidely remarking on how great the day has been.